video game series Gears of War, and the voice of the main character of the first famous first-person shooter, Duke Nukem, Carlos Ferro and Jon St. John.
You want me in the middle?
And don't be shy.
Monkey in the middle.
Monkey in the middle. That's right.
And I brought little Duke along.
Awesome.
Check out his new videos on Facebook.
Sup, bitches?
A little early for that.
Awesome. So I guess we'll start taking questions right off the bat. Anyway,
From you guys, maybe.
yeah,
Zach,
that's right.
Zach from jmzandpodcast.com. John, just want to say I met you in 2013 at the press junket here. Fantastic.
Did we drink together?
No, unfortunately we didn't. I didn't have time. But
What are you doing tonight?
You're so I'll say you give a great press thing. You're, whatever the hell this is.
Whatever it is.
But I read in the thing that you started in radio at the age of 14.
Yeah.
How the hell did you get into radio at 14? Did you know someone in the family, or did you like?
You know, it was a different world in 1970.
Did they pay you for that?
1975.
Like,
Yeah. I was 14-year-old junior high school student, and 1975. George Carlin had an album called FM and AM.
Great album.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hell
You're familiar
yeah.
with it? Wonderful, YO Radio.
Yeah.
I used to do, my impressions of Al Sleek, the hippy dippy weatherman and all that stuff. And all the kids at school were going, God, you sound just like the guys on the radio. Because I just gone through puberty. One day my voice was like this. And then the next morning I woke up like this. And
It's
it
great you
scared the
didn't
hell out
lose
of my
the
family.
pre-puberty voice. You didn't lose that. You still got that.
Exactly. So I went down to the local radio station. I lived in a small town in North Carolina at the time, Jacksonville, North Carolina.
I'm sorry.
And yeah, me too. I got the hell out. Went down to the local AM radio station and said, I'd like to be on the radio. And they said, okay, well, we'll give you a test shot this Saturday night. And they put me on, and somebody engineered for me because I didn't know how to run the gear. And they liked me so much that first night that they hired me full time. So my parents allowed me to do 7 to midnight on the radio.
Wow.
And go through junior high and high school. And then a year after that, I got hired for the big FM 100,000 watt hit station that was put on the air. And got through school. I was the big guy on campus, because I was famous. But that's in 1975. You could do that. Today, I don't think you could just walk into a station at 14 years old and get on the air. Unless you look like this.
I'm imagining you'd get arrested if you tried that now.
Quite possibly. I was going to say, because he's got a face made for radio. Actually, Carlos is such an attractive gentleman.
Right back at you, John.
Thank you.
Is this thing?
Oh, no, it's not. It's sorry, there's a little switch.
You got a switch?
That was a nice move.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, turn it on.
You lost your privileges, sorry.
There we go.
Ooh,
Much better.
Ballsy.
You guys missed all my witty little commentary while I was talking, but that's all right.
Which is probably for the best.
I listened to a lot of radio in '75, and it was really good stuff.
Did you hear John?
I did not.
All right. Yes, you.
Gareth from GarethCom.com. This is for Jon St. John.
Mhm.
Are you still out of bubble gum?
I don't have any gum, do you?
I did, but
Why'd you
left it
bring
in
it
the
up?
car. She left it in the car. I was gonna give you some. You look like you
Run now!
You're kicking so much ass. You needed bubble gum.
I always need gum. I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of ass.
How about you?
Just fine. If you guys are wondering what hangovers look like,
Really?
now you know a little bit.
Oh. See, I'm a tequila drinker. Carlos, not so much.
Welcome to press conferences where Jon St. John and I just talk about being hungover. It's something.
Yes, you.
Hi, John. Question about when you were first approached to do Duke and the character development. How did they present who the character was going to be to you? And if you could just tell us a little bit about how Duke was born.
Oh, well, there was the side-scroller games originally, Duke 1 and Duke 2, way back in the day, and I was not even familiar with those. I didn't know much about video games at all, but I was a radio production director in San Diego, and one of the top casting directors lived in town, Lonnie Manella, and she came down to the studio to record, I think it was an auto dealership spot that I was producing, started doing a bunch of wacky voices, so I started doing wacky voices, and she said, wow, you got great range, maybe you should be voice acting for video games, and I went, what? It was 1994. There was no such thing as any voice acting. And I said, there's no voice acting in video games. She said, well, there's about to be, and there's this game called Duke Nukem. And I laughed. I think everybody, the first time you heard
Duke Nukem.
to make you laugh. And I said, yeah, I'll be happy to audition for it. And George Broussard from 3D Realms got on the phone with us in the studio. And he had his idea of what Duke's voice would sound like, but he wasn't describing it very well for me, and I didn't know the character or the actor he was talking about. But Lonnie goes, "Oh, just think of Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry. Clench your teeth and say that line." I went, "Go ahead, make my day." And Bruce Hart goes, "That's good, but this guy's on steroids. And he's huge, so bring it down an octave." I went, "Go ahead, make my day." And that's kind of how the voice was born right there, in like 3 minutes in the studio. And I'm just lucky that I was the guy who got my foot in the door first. Anybody could have done it, but I'm the lucky one.
Timing's a big deal. in
Timing
show
is
business.
everything.
It's a big deal.
Oh, I have a question. How did you come apart playing the role of Dom in Gears of War?
It's a different story in that I've done, when there was no real voice acting in video games, the first Xbox and the PlayStation 2, there was a bit, but nothing like it is now. There wasn't really, characters weren't even being written to be developed or to have any kind of arc or any of that stuff. It was more like, you're holding a gun and we can hear you kind of going, and stuff like that. But when I booked Gears of War, the first game, it was actually called something else. And I don't think at this point it doesn't matter. It was called like Warfare or something. And it was, they were coming up with this thing called the Xbox 360. And it was gonna be really different than the Xbox. And this was gonna be, and did become their flagship franchise. But at the time, I had never seen this in anything, not in any voiceover gig. They gave me a Bible. They had already written the story, each character's bio, their interactions, their history, if they had any. And this predates, novelizations and everything of the video game stories. And so I had a picture of what the guy looked like, and it was a real shift in how things were done in terms of this kind of game, a third-person shooter. I was originally, Jon Santiago was talking like this, and he sounded a lot more like he was from South America, and he was clearly Latin, even though he's not from Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Beautiful story.
but there is, I mean, whatever cliches you have in your mind about, that sort of casting. Yeah, they wanted a Latin guy to have, some Latin guy playing him, or a Latin Italian.
Then what the heck are you?
I have no idea. It's kind of crazy. So they end up firing every actor that got hired on the first incarnation of the game, except me. And they were like, "We know how you sound. We know how you talk. And you don't talk like that guy that you were doing, so don't do that." and then they were like, but then the next incarnation was like, "But make him more like he's from, like East LA, like that sort of guy." And I was like, come on, guys.
Get Cheech Marin in, man.
Well, funny you should say that. Cheech Marin and I were working on a Klasky Chupo show, San Obligito, and there was it was the army of Latin actors, and we all, I'll clump myself right in there, we all kind of become experts on what keeps us employed, and so we all have our Cheech, our Antonio Banderas, our Javier Bardem. I mean, this is a legit thing in voice acting, and I'm sure, you've got your guys, your go-tos, you mentioned Clint Eastwood, but this character of Dom Santiago was still sort of up in the air. Yes, sir? I thought I was in trouble. It's like, stop talking. All right, story time, stop it. So the guy got closer and closer to my voice, to my personality, and I used to say that there was a lot of me and Dom. Now it's a lot of Dom in me. But no, it's that I ended up becoming one and the same. The Bible became what I was bringing to it, and that feels great for an actor. So Dom Santiago went from being this could have been stereotype of a few types, and he turned into me carrying a chainsaw weapon on Sarah. So it was cool.
It was really awesome. You in the back, please. You.
No, you.
Yeah, you.
That's the back today.
Yeah, that's
The second row.
The second row is the back.
row.
You way back there.
Hi, Chris Houghton, She's Lost Control Media. John, how did you end up playing Big the Cat?
Poorly. Now, again, a lot of it is luck and who you know. Lonnie Manella, again, she's one of the top casting directors in the industry, at least was back then. God, she's got credits on over 600 games. Lonnie's incredible.
Timing.
But anyway, she was casting for, Sega's recasting the original game, I guess, for Sonic Adventures, and said, "We really want to get you in on this." I went, "Why?" There's no voices that match me. I have a larger, low-pitched voice. I can't do little characters like that.
If I do say so myself.
She goes, "But this is a really stupid character." And I went, "Well, thank you, typecasting." She said, "No, we just need a silly voice." And I said, "What do you mean silly?" She said, "This cat, give me a just a stupid sounding voice, and I did the
Give me a
stupid.
cat.
Where's my doggy? And she goes, oh, that's perfect. I went, no, not that one. The Sega liked it, so. And fortunately for me, Sega changed the voice cast for all of the Sonic stuff, what, 6 times?
Yeah.
Between the cartoons and the video games and all that?
Again recently too.
Yeah, so they passed the torch on Big the Cat for me to Kyle Bear, who's a wonderful voice actor. But now, Big the Cat has been killed off by Sega, never to return. Yay! I know you might be fans
I like
of Big the Cat, but
I'm a fan.
yeah, really? That was the dumbest character ever.
Dumb is good in games sometimes. I think.
It's not the project I'm least proud of. I mean, I'm not happy with that voice, but when you look like Evil Zone, that Danzaga character, oh my god, that's the worst piece of crap I've ever been associated with. That and Blue
Well,
Stinger.
I'm glad that you're saying this to the press. This is good. At least,
Oh,
no
yeah,
one,
yeah.
at least no one involved in the game will hear about it. So that's good.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Let me just say to the press that Sega really fucked up by not keeping me on.
All
Okay?
right.
I agree.
That's how I feel.
I'm not disagreeing.
I don't pull any punches.
Any more questions? Right there.
Hi, Neil, WILIAM, FM, Willimantic, Connecticut. I'm sure that voice acting in terms of the video games will remain the same. However, do you guys have any insight into like the next big thing for video games?
You probably do. I'm clueless.
Yeah, it's VR. It's virtual reality. It's everything you've seen about the Oculus Rift, everything that about the HoloLens. Did you guys? I mean, you're the press. Did you guys see stuff from E3? Okay. Did you see the
I'm
Holo?
not that sort of press.
Did you see the Holo? Dude, props. Okay, stop it. He's like, we're not really press. What are you guys?
No,
really
no, I
doing?"
cover different stuff.
Okay,
I cover
I'm
different
joking,
stuff.
man. Easy.
We're not really here.
Okay, but the press card is something else, man. Okay, press, pull. So at E3, did you see the HoloLens demo? It's essentially, the Microsoft has been developing this thing. Oh, surely for Microsoft, it's going to happen inevitably.
They don't pay him or anything.
Yeah, not at all. But they threw their name into the game of VR, that Oculus Rift. That's all anybody talked about. And the HoloLens, they did a demo of Minecraft. And I don't work. Minecraft's not a voice acting gig, okay? But if those of you that are familiar with Minecraft, you can't blow away game fans, okay? And I haven't been really knocked out or knocked on my ass from something at E3 in a long time because I'm ahead of the game. I know what's coming, what's going to happen. No one was prepared for the HoloLens demonstration of Minecraft. They had someone filming what it looked like in real life. So it was a guy wearing glasses going like this. Like he just looked like you couldn't see. But then we saw his perspective. And his Minecraft universe was on the table and he was manipulating it. Perfectly. And then this female counterpart, she was not using the HoloLens, but she was playing Minecraft with him, and he was picking her up and putting her somewhere else. And in her POV, she was watching herself, and then he went like this, and the table now was bottomless and had the underside of his universe. And the room went bananas. They couldn't finish the demo because the room was going crazy, because it's fulfilling the promise of video games being that good. That true VR, I think we're all on some level cynics, and we're just like, yeah, sure,
Truly immersive.
You're truly immersive, and you have that vision of people standing with glasses in a circular thing going like this.
It looks bizarre
And
from the outside.
it doesn't look cool, and so you think, I would feel like a dork, so I want to do that. This is cool, and that I would say is, in voice acting, I mean, we do what we do, and I think that's never really going to go away when they're developing characters and stuff, but in terms of what's next for video games, I gotta say, that's it, it's VR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Questions?
You.
Charles from Full Coverage Writers.
Hi, Charles.
Hello, Charles, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Of all the roles that you've done respectively, which ones gave you the most leeway to ad-lib and kind of make it your own?
For me, it was always Duke Nukem. And the reason is, when they came to me in 2011 to do the Duke Nukem Forever game, I got a call from one of the people at Triptych who was developing the software, and they said, guess what, hell is frozen over. And I went, what? We're gonna make this game, and we want you to do the voice of Duke. I said, okay, when, who's gonna direct it, blah, blah, blah. No, nobody's gonna direct it. You've been Duke Nukem forever. You know what the voice is. You can self-direct. We've heard your work.
Nice.
Oh, wow. And so
Insane, but nice.
they send me the scripts, and there's all these really awful misogynistic sex lines that stuff that you shouldn't be saying in a game. And
Certainly not at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
right, all written by 2 women. All of the Duke Nukem Forever lines were written by 2 women. The looks on these guys, it's fantastic. Kristen Hagelin was one of them with Cryptic Software. She writes some great stuff like, I had eggs for breakfast, your mom had sausage. And it's stuff like that. That's funny stuff. But they let me ad-lib.
Shakespeare.
They let me ad-lib, and my son actually gets a little bit of credit for one of the lines in the game, because during the recording, he was sitting in the studio with me at one point, and they had me say, the Duke says something to, what are you, douchebag, something like that. And my son, who was 18 at the time, he goes, we don't say that anymore, douche nozzle, that's the dirty part.
Nice.
Oh, you douche nozzle, and they put it in the game. And there were a few lines that I got to just ad-lib and say what I wanted to say that made it in. There was a lot of stuff, obviously, that didn't make it in, because even with a rating system on a game, you can't be too politically incorrect. But that one gave me the most freedom. Usually, we have to pretty much stick to the script. I mean, not word for word, you always put your own spin on
do
it.
your read.
Yeah, but you can't change the context or anything. But there's some freedom, a lot more than there used to be, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I think that I think there was a nice window. It was a really sweet spot for actors where it wasn't they were being so generous with letting us improvise. It was that nobody knew what these games were going to really be. No one knew if the acting was still going to be like, where'd he go? I don't know. Is he over there? Oh shit! You know that type of. Sorry guys. Anyways, but I curse. Anyways, so but the idea of staying on script and off script, it was more like, okay, now what would you say? And that wasn't like, so generous. It was like, no, we don't really know if that's gonna play. When you're carrying a rifle or you're, under fire, is reality good? Is that gonna scare people in some ways? Is it gonna put people off? Or is it more fun to have a laugh about it and be in on the joke? So my improvisation has paid off now, because now they kind of have a more handle. They got a bigger handle on, like, in the Gears of War universe, or even in Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is a bit more of a formal universe. So, I'm Leonardo da Vinci in the Assassin's Creed franchise. What am I going to improvise? The weather's horrible, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much I can do in this historical context. But Dom and Marcus, my favorite improvisational story is that they give us descriptions. Nice job.
I forgot to mute my
professional. I'm
So,
so.
the press is gonna be pissed.
It's my agent.
Okay, so
What are you doing there?
So in terms of improvisation, the story I'd love to share with you very quickly is that they give us descriptions of monsters that haven't been created yet, but they just tell us in text what the monster looks like. And John and I, it was a very, Jon St, who plays Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War, he's also Bender from Futurama, and he and I have worked together for many years on different projects, and he is one of the funniest guys around. Jon St is a hilarious
But
guy.
Finn is his best character.
Which one?
Adventure Time.
Adventure Time, yeah. Well, we're having fun, but in this one scene, it's kind of tense, and we're about to encounter this new threat they're like really scary monsters. And in the script, at the same time, we encounter Marcus and Dom come upon what seems like a monkey dog. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound too scary. And John goes, Dom, apparently there's a monkey dog here. and of course it breaks me up. And then I start playing along, and I started going, Marcus, there's a monkey dog! And so we just started saying monkey dog instead of wretches or anything else. Well, there's obviously now that exists as like, not DLC, but like there's outtakes and bloopers that they animated of him, and he started going, monkey dog, for the whole game. It became his joke, and I would respond, and it's out there. If you do monkey dog search on YouTube, you'll find it. But that's a lot of leeway considering a situation that's supposed to be kind of formal. We are not interrupting your texting, are we?
No, I was looking at Monkey Dog.
Okay. But it's gotten a lot looser.
Naughty girl. I'm sorry.
Questions? Any more questions? You in the back.
Joe Srill, GameAccess.net. Good to see you guys again. My question is, with the future of technology, you mentioned it before with the HoloLens, but
there's also a future in your end of the production, which is like either 3D capture of your work, either through motion capture or Kinect scanning and that sort of thing, basically. What do you think about that? Like, you going into a booth or doing a job, basically, where you are not just recording your voice in front of a microphone.
It's a good question.
You are doing the whole actor, and you are being digitally scanned as you are doing that, doing basically a whole performance. Well, would you take that kind of job? Would you do that?
I'd be happy to. I haven't actually done that kind of job. I mean, I've done the one where they put the little things on my mouth to animate the mouth for like a TV spot, for an animated TV spot. But my only, you've had more
I've done the whole mocap
The
thing.
only mocap experience I had was a long time ago at Sony Studios in San Diego. I was playing the part of some, players of an NBA basketball night, and I was NBA Shootout 99. And it was one of the first, and they said, yeah, we want to put you in our mocap studio. I went, okay, why? Well, so that you can, get an athlete, for God's sake. Me? Are you kidding? So first they did the mocap stuff on my mouth, and then they got, thank God, real athletes to come in and do the actual motions. That would have been horrific. Me out there trying to play basketball.
I've worked on every Uncharted of the Uncharted franchise, and those are all mocap gigs, and so it's staged. It is different. I don't know that it's the future because I think people thought it was until for that exact reason is that
we're actors, not athletes.
There are people that excel at being physically superheroes and acting and doing parkour and things like that. That's not us, okay? And that's not to say that we're just so horribly out of shape. No, it's that that's their gig. They're physical guys, and we have a lot on our plate, to be honest. Working on the characters, keeping them consistent, and all that, doing all the acting stuff. But I will say this: when I was first put in the mocap suit, was to do there's a thing called the Maria scene in Gears of War 2, and that scene is all me. I wore the dot suit with the ping pong balls and all that, and also the experience with Uncharted. It put me off mocap. There's nothing less flattering than the mocap suit.
I was going to say, how did it make you look? Do I look fat in this green suit?
I look like a really sexy sausage.
Is there such a thing?
I guess, apparently. No, actors, if anybody actor says that ego doesn't play into their gig, they're lying, okay? We're an insecure lot, but I think what keeps us, level is that, we have an ego, and we don't want to look funky and weird. So he plays Duke Nukem, and I'm sure you'd rather have a guy.
Yeah, I wish I looked like that.
Yeah, you'd like to have a guy that looks like Duke Nukem do the Duke Nukem stuff. But it can be kind of I think if you're decent at what you do as an actor, if you're dressed, don't shoot me from there, man. Over here. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I don't ask for much.
That's his bad side.
Just don't shoot me in profile. So he goes to the other profile. Yes. Very different. In mocap, I'm not the only guy. What ended up happening is people that were working, they were like, yeah, it's like theater, and we'll learn our lines, and we'll be off book, and it'll be cool. Well, that's not fun, man. It'd be staying in character and all this. We got a lot on our plate, like I said, and then all the guys are going around the females, and so forth, and trying to look cool, and that's.
And when it takes 20, 30 takes to deliver one particular line exactly the way they want it, you got to focus on that, not on your body motions as you're speaking it. Plus, you got to consider there's been so much mocap data collected over the years now that they don't need really to get us in motion.
Yeah.
They can animate to our voice.
I mean, to be fair, Duke Nukem's a perfect example. Dom Santiago. These guys are muscle-bound space marines. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a job for somebody there, and I don't know that it's necessarily ours.
Right.
And I'm fine with that.
I agree.
Questions?
You said before that Zach JMZ on podtrash.com.
Cool.
You said before that when you worked on Gears of War, they gave you this Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You said before that it wasn't really like that was the first time you ever gotten. Just curious, and be honest, were you kind of like annoyed at the extra work you had to do for the same paycheck?
No. Actors, I'd like to think that actors want resources. They want any kind of support.
We like researching.
We like researching. I'm a grad school mentality kind of guy when it comes to acting, and I think that preparation is everything, and it's really important. No one likes the shortcut. I mean, people want the shortcut. I don't like the idea of a shortcut to anything. So that long road for a character development, all that, that's you know, not to get base, but that's a wet dream for an actor. We're just like, oh, you know, it's worthy of this, you know. And when a director, forget the Bible thing even, when a director's talking to you, John, and they're caring so much about, no man, this guy, this is what's going on with him. None of us go, oh, come on, you know, what I mean, that's not us.
They're painting us a picture.
Yeah, we sign up for that. We sign up to be directed, for the writer to say, this is what's really going on, and it's exciting for me, and I'm sure for John as well, to do something with that information. It's not like, oh, now, really? That's not that. Why would you even be in this profession?
Another take? Oh, the last one wasn't good enough.
You want to have more to choose from? Come on.
That reminds me of an old
That's the
Insiders.
complete opposite of what Gilbert Gottfried says. He just wants in and out, like, he's like, why does this take more than 20 minutes?
Well, do you need a great voice to be a voice actor? No. And I said Gilbert Gottfried is that example. He has the worst voice ever. However, that's his persona. Do you need a bird? Do you need a duck or a parrot?
Gilbert Gottfried,
That's what he sounded like.
he's hilarious,
Oh,
but I think even he would be the first one to be like, is he an actor? I mean, you know,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
He's a stand-up comic. That's really
and
what he does,
he can act, but I mean, he's at his best being Gilbert Gottfried, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And me and John are talking about creating characters and stuff like that, and that's important to us. That's our gig, you know.
I think when Gilbert's hired, they know
that's what they're
the
getting.
delivery is
Yeah,
going to be.
yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well, it's going to fit no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just the sound of his voice that works.
Gotcha. Not a lot of characters going for a Pop-Tart.
There you go. Or a duck.
Exactly.
Yeah, Affleck duck. I believe was what he got.
Of course, he hasn't been the Affleck duck for
I know.
quite some
It's the
time.
same.
Thanks to that, way to go. Let's have another tsunami for Gilbert.
No,
Quick question on your production. With the computer age and electronics, do you have to go to a studio to do these things now, or can you do it from your home?
Well, all of my auditions are done from home.
Me too.
But I have a real, honest-to-God recording studio. Other voice actors come in and use my studio. But generally speaking, I have to drive to a studio in North Hollywood or Burbank or down in San Diego for the recordings. Because I think, in my case, more than some others perhaps, if it's a video game, I always have to go to their studio, and I think it's because when Duke 3D came out back in the 90s, all of the developers today were teenagers playing this game, and I really think they're just fanboying more than anything. It's like when Valve hired me to do Half-Life and stuff like that. They flew me to Seattle because they wanted to meet me, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Nice.
You don't need to see me in the studio to direct me. And they, oh, that's okay, we want to bring you all up. All right.
Yeah, I've had that experience, but I also had the opposite, where all my same exact thing in terms of auditioning from home, but the actual gig always at a studio, you know, and with an engineer, and in some cases the entire team, which is a lot of people that come.
That's fun.
It's fun. They come from Vancouver or wherever they're based out of, and you know it's really cool to be part of the team like that. But I've also had people that they don't know if I've ever done a voice acting gig in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so fortunately there's always some person that's aware or whatever, but it can be disconcerting to have somebody going, okay, voice acting is different than on camera, Carlos. And I'm like,
Walk you through it, hold your hand.
I'm like, I got it, we're good. And then I mentioned Dom Santiago, and it's a fun moment where I mention any character I've done or any show, and they just go, oh no, okay, fair enough, I said, just do it. Just, like you got it. So
My bad.
What would be some advice that you give to someone trying to become a voice actor?
that's the number one question that me and John get.
Is it?
Yeah.
And what's your generic answer?
Yeah, what's your generic answer? I would love to hear it.
I always say you're not gonna like my answer.
Okay,
Okay.
bring it on.
Study, prepare, learn how to be a good actor first. Everything else falls into place. If you want to be a good voice actor, if you want to be any kind of performer, prep up. Every show, people are like, check this out. I can do the best Bender. I can do the best Stan Lee impression. I do so many accents. That's gonna pay off. Eventually, maybe it might, maybe it won't. But what will certainly pay off is having a toolbox to piss with the big boys, so to speak, to have something competitive to bring to the table, because I'm sorry, that person is not the only person that can do a Southern accent, an English accent. I think we all have that in us, on some level, and it could get better at mimicry. But voice acting is an acting job first, Become a great actor, go to schools or classes or workshops, VO workshops. Don't you do work? Do you teach, man? You teach, so.
I'm no longer. I quit teaching because
Okay,
my
forget
schedule got
teaching.
too
No,
crazy.
no, if you want to do what we do, I always tell people it is not a short road. It's not like, here's the trick, man. Talk to Jon St. No, it's not like that. It's study up, be prepared.
As I told my students all the time, it doesn't take a great voice to be a voice actor. It takes a great ear to be a voice actor. You have to be able
Yes,
to. And there are a lot of tips and tricks that you have to learn that people don't even consider, like dissecting the script. You have to look at the script, look at the way it's written with the punctuation, so you know how to read it correctly, because you have to consider that the client is paying the studio upwards of $200 an hour for you to be in their recording, and if you're pissing away time because you don't know how to read the script right when, you're costing everybody more money, and that doesn't make them happy. It's about being efficient and quick in the studio, and I'm one of those guys, I go in there and they go, oh yeah, let's ABC all of these. I'm like, fine, that means 3 takes of the same line, and I slightly change the inflection on a word or two.
So imagine if someone says ABC and the person goes, what's ABC? What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're costing the studio literal money because someone has to explain, Bill, it's that there's 3 takes and just mix it up. This is something, why are we having that conversation? Okay, and that's something you learn at a workshop for VO, and yeah, it's I say they won't like the answer because sure, there was a guy at the 7-Eleven that somebody went, you've got a nice sound, and they groomed him and navigated him into working in something that eventually paid off. Yeah, Lana Turner was discovered at Schwab's, drugstore, but that's not the exception. It doesn't work that way. It's prepared.
Yeah, it's learn to imitate other voices and listen to the professionals. For instance, now most of your work is acting. Mine is commercial work. Video games are maybe 10% of what I do. I do a lot of commercials and that kind of stuff. Okay, well then the best advice for anybody getting into the business who wants to do this.
Don't slag me off. He's like, you don't do what I do. Okay.
I didn't know you did as much commercial work. But if you want
Maybe you should get to know him.
Yeah, if you want to do voice acting,
Burger
what you
King,
do is
how's that?
you listen to commercials on TV and radio, and I don't mean the locally by your local radio station. I'm talking about national commercials. When you hear those, listen to those and imitate those, because what you're hearing on the air is perfect. And what I mean is, first the script is written and it's okayed by the client, then it's rewritten, then it's rewritten again, then it's rewritten for time, then all of the words are carefully selected so the script is dialed in. Then they find the right voice actor. And then the director will nitpick every single line of this 15-second TV spot for an hour until every line is exactly the way they want it. Then it's mixed perfectly with the music and produced, and the final product on air is perfect.
Much more important, Kari Wogan's standing right over there.
Oh my God.
There she is. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
That was just, me indulging myself.
I know, right? So that the end result of something you hear on the air is, to the production company and to the agency, perfect. So imitate what you hear on the air and record yourself imitating that. And when your tape sounds like the guy you heard on TV or radio, then you're on your way.
And by the way, chiming in exactly and supporting what Jon's saying, there are trends. There are things change. I wasn't goofing. I was the voice of Burger King for the last 2.5 years, and it was all campaigns. But I had to alter. When we started, it was Burger King, and it was all fun and really exciting about the food. And they stopped that shit. You listen to it now, and it's Burger King. It's very chill, more relaxed guy. Every job for the last.
Is it still you? Are you still the voice?
No, I finished job. But the thing is, no, believe me, it was wonderful while it lasted.
Oh yeah.
And
Union scale.
it was amazing. And I ended up like these big clients that Jon and I work for. They're insane. They have more money than God. So like they'll say, we're working with someone, this and that, and we're doing the VO session where we're shooting the commercial. Come to Argentina for a week to do the VO. What? Like what? Really? And I mean that's fast food. That's cars. And in my experience, the one thing that just goes right in with being aware of what things sound like and what's happening is the announcery guy has a phase, like, it's a seasonal. There's a season of the announcery sounding guy, and then the next time they're like, no, we want just regular sounding guy. Then they want the young hip kid, and then they want, the voice of authority that's telling you what you're buying is very fucking good, So you would not, if you're interested in this, be an expert, just what John was saying. Listen to the radio and be aware. So when you're eventually in this dream job that we have, and we're well aware it's a dream job, okay, that they say, have you heard the Toys R Us spots? Have you heard what the giraffe sounds like now? That's what we want to do to sell these cupcakes. And you go, got it, I know. Not, oh yes, I love cupcake commercials. No, it's be aware of the marketplace, what it sounds like, and that's also preparation. So it all
They still have the giraffe?
They sure do. Jeffrey's still around.
I didn't even, I'm sorry, I thought Jeffrey was gone.
I know.
I thought they let him go.
Do you know that I worked with Jeffrey? That's the reason I brought it up. See, segue. But Jeffrey is Stan Winston created in terms of Terminator and Stan Winston creatures. The Creature Shop made Jeffrey, and he's full scale animatronic and doesn't make noise when he moves or anything.
Wow.
And
Hydraulics.
and they have the head part and the neck if they needed to come into the shot, but they've also got them connected to the body as well seamlessly. I mean, it's Stan Winston, right? And I will share this with you. There's nothing more like fun, amazing, but also a bit disconcerting than a giraffe that looks like a real giraffe with really pretty eyelashes lean down in a commercial and go, you should go to Toys R Us.
That's terrifying.
And this
Freaky.
It's very freaky.
But amazing if you're a geek like I am.
That's awesome. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for now.
Oh.
Thank you guys so much for coming in.
No, and thank you guys for coming.
Round of applause, please.
Can I go out with a joke?
Yeah, sure, why not?
How many voice actors does it take to record a 60-second radio spot?
How many?
10. One to record it, 9 to go, I could have done it better.
All right. That was awesome. Please see more Carlos and John at the Badasses of Video Game panel later today at 5 p.m. in the Dragon Room. So please enjoy it. We'll be back.
You better be there.